The impact of COVID-19 has been felt across the world. It's also affecting wildlife and conservation. African Wildlife Foundation CEO Kaddu Sebunya says it'll have a devastating effect on Africa's tourism. He joins us on Skype from Nairobi. Good morning to you. Tell us more about the impact of the COVID-19 on us and our environment.
Good morning. The impact we've already seen, and I would like to first wish all the best to the people who are suffering and hurting. Already Africa is suffering with this pandemic. We've shut down most of our borders. We've shut down travel. We are shutting down cities. We are shutting down our economies. We are shutting down travel. There's a number of restrictions. And these are for good reasons. But it's hurting because of the economies going down. Protected area, I've been talking to directors across the continent. They are hurting. Majority of their revenue for managing protected areas is coming from travel tourism. If you shut down borders, you shut down airports, there's a huge impact on protected areas. Of course, the supply chains of the industry, that involves over 319 billion people on the planet in terms of jobs are hurting. In Africa, it's devastating. Almost $40 billion in revenue annually come from tourism. Majority of the countries where we work in Africa, we are continental NGO, the largest on the continent. It's hurting. On average of about 14% of GDP is from tourism industry. But that is the direct revenue from the industry. The industry has a value chain from airport suppliers to services you see at the airports, from taxis to restaurants, to transporters, to food production, to restaurants, to guides, direct radios, communities next to the parks. It's really hurting already. And the decisions we make today as we recover from this pandemic is going to be very, very important, and to determine the continent we will have and live for our children.
I mean, shocking to hear from you the knock-on effect and how many people and ecosystems and animals are affected by this. I mean, I was reading your report. You said that it supports at least 24 million jobs on Africa. Most of those jobs will be affected, but that you are concerned that communities could be wiped out.
Absolutely. I mean, the economies, just think about it. Protected areas are found across Africa in most of the remotest areas of the continent. And we know Africa is remote already. So these communities who are found in the remotest parts of Africa, their main assets, apart from agriculture, is wildlife economies. And if these are affected, there's a knock-off effect to these communities. I'll give you examples. We have a number of projects that are linked to protected areas. Protected areas, majority of them, especially in Southern Africa, share average of 8 to 10% of their revenues to community programs.
All right, so we're losing, excuse me, jumping in here, a lot of revenue. I mean, what can be done other than those sort of private initiatives at the moment to stop the loss of communities and our wildlife?
There are a number of things we need to do as we look at recovery economies. I've seen the World Bank report that they talked about yesterday, that looking at focusing on agriculture, focusing on food security, focusing on health. But we need to move money to rural areas. And one of the things we do, because their biggest assets are wildlife next to them, we need to see how we can develop programs that are labor intensive, that are connected to the assets they have. For example, how do we maintain the infrastructure of national parks by using the labor intensive methods that include communities next to these parks? How do we employ guides that are not guiding anybody else now, or those who have been working in lodges and tourism industry next to the parks? Do come and maintain airstrips, do some of the monitoring of wildlife, because if we don't do that very quickly, the bad guys who are the poachers are going to employ them in bad activities. So the idea is, how do we move money in the hands of local communities?
So let me just jump in here quickly. You're also concerned about isolationist policies and fake news and sort of misinformation when it comes to tourism and wildlife.
Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of effort in terms of describing the hunting communities and how these are linked to what's being developed within the national discussion on how we are going to manage our future economies. The fake news is definitely dangerous to all aspects of our way of life. But what is now important is to meet the people where they hurt most. And now it's livelihoods they are losing, it's the household incomes they have. They are looking at their kids' education, which needs to be supported. But I'm more concerned with rural economies that are so much important to the natural resources or to the ecological infrastructure we need as we recover our economies. We're not going to recover our economies without ecological systems that we need for our water, that we need to maintain our food, soils for our agriculture, that we need for our clean air we need for us to survive on this continent. This is a huge opportunity for Africa to start looking at what Africa's economic model needs to look like. We should stop chasing the Western world. Their model is their model. What is the model for Africa? That creates the assets we have on this continent,
let's leave it
which
here.
is natural resources.
Sebunya, about an African model that is needed to make sure that our wildlife is protected. We can't lose the focus on that.